What's going on, Silver Squad, and welcome back to another episode of the Silver Site. My name is RJ, and as always, I'm joined by Kory. What up,
What's up,
Kory?
guys?
Yo, yo. So today's episode of Silver Site, we're going to be taking a trip down memory lane, and we're going to be talking about something that we grew up watching, and we're just kind of like a retrospective look at the movie The Color of Friendship. And we're going to just kind of talk about things that we've noticed that we didn't notice when we were kids watching it, and our experiences, as Black Americans now looking back on this movie. The movie stars Shadia Simmons, Lindsey Hawn, Penny Johnson, and Carl Lumbly, and it's about basically white African exchange student Mari that comes to America, and she's under the impression that she's going to be staying with a white American family. And when she gets here, surprise! Yeah.
What happened to that real African?
Right. It's not a real. They ordered a real African, and they didn't get a real African. So that's the premise of this movie. It's educational. It's funny. It has a little bit of everything, and I thoroughly enjoyed this movie as a kid and as an adult rewatching it. Not only did I enjoy it, I appreciated it a lot more than I did initially. So, and this movie is based off of true events, which makes it even more special because it kind of showed that sometimes you just aren't aware of issues because you're not in the middle of them or you're not in the trenches with the people who are going through it. So, overall, Kory, what are your initial thoughts on The Color of Friendship as a whole?
Yeah, so the movie, like, I've seen it before, obviously.
Yeah,
Well, not obviously, but because a lot of people have not seen a lot of Disney movies, you would be
yeah,
surprised. So I was one of the privileged ones to see some Disney movies, and I've seen
yeah,
this before. But like as you were saying, like as a younger person, like the true objective of movies and the true plot doesn't really come to you until you reach a level of understanding, which is
mhm,
AKA now
yeah,
rewatching it. So yeah, I can appreciate it because as you said, it was based on true events like the apartheid in South Africa. Yeah, it's based on South Africa, the apartheid, like true events as you were saying,
yeah,
and there was so much tension between the like just there was so much tension
yeah,
between the country itself, like it was
yeah,
imploding on each other, imploding on
yeah,
it on itself. So I like the way it depicts that, and I like the way it depicts it in a way that's like a foreign exchange type deal. But
yeah.
I don't understand how she didn't get any more information on the foreign exchange type deal. This was like
I don't understand
literally
how
a
the family.
vacation for her,
Yeah,
and she didn't really care. She just wanted to leave, and I'm
yeah.
but it's not like she wanted to leave because of the war and everything that was going on. She wanted to leave just because she wanted a vacation. I'm just like,
Yeah,
other people want to leave because they're killing right around the corner.
yeah. You're just like, oh, I think it'd be nice to go to America for a little while. Like, what? It's funny you say
Jesus.
that because that's kind of was her, I guess her motivation in the beginning was to get away, and she was just talking about how much fun it would be, and it was like I was watching, it was like, oh, you don't know, like you going for fun, but you about to learn today, and
Today.
you about to learn today, and I love how it went from. And I also love what this movie does was they don't sugarcoat it and they don't put it in a way where it's like, oh, let's kind of hint that racism is going on. Sort of like what Disney does with movies involving animals, how they turn a black character to an animal in order to make them more relatable, to the audience, so that way they can kind of understand that or develop empathy for the animal and not the black person. But in this movie, obviously, it's based off a true event, so you can't turn anyone into a freaking animal. So we get to see racism, for what it is. Um, we get to see everything, I guess, without these rose colored glasses. And I love the fact that they don't shy away from using racial slurs, when appropriate, in an educational manner. And for a Disney Channel movie, I felt like that was just such a shock to be, a kid watching this movie and to hear those words being said out of a child's mouth. Was shocking to me because I just had watched Brink like the week before, yeah, and like
They're not saying that on Brink.
now, Brink, we're gonna go. I got something for you, Brink. We're gonna do a review on you because that movie it was wild too. They said some wild stuff in that movie too. We'll go back
Bro.
to that. But the Color of Friendship really didn't they really didn't pull punches with racism, and that's just one thing I appreciated. I felt like everybody played a role, um, and kind of educating Mari and kind of bridging this gap between, getting her to understand that apartheid is wrong. So I thoroughly enjoyed that aspect of the movie. So was there anything else that stood out to you in The Color of Friendship?
Um, in a whole, the one thing that really stood out to me would have to be the analogy they used with the bird. I'm not. I forgot where it came from. It might be like an old folklore, folk tale, something.
Yeah,
But obviously, it was passed down from generation to generation, depicting the African people as a people being free. So
yeah,
that bird analogy was amazing, and I like the
yeah,
way it kept popping up here and there. And the father really closed out and the pan with his Pan African speech. And actually, the what really closed it out was when Mari herself freed the bird at the end.
yeah.
So that
That's when
was that
it came
was
full
that what
circle.
really came to culmination.
Yeah. Mari came a long way because even in the beginning, I don't know if you caught this, but when she said, "Yeah, I'm going to stay with the Delumes family," and then the Delumes, and like Flora, her maid turned around and was like, "You mean the Dellums?" She's like, "No, no, no, silly. It's pronounced Delumes, like Delu- Delu- Delumes."
The
And then she seemed
Delusions.
so smug, like you don't know anything. You're just dumb maid. That's the aura she had around her. And it was like she
Yeah,
went
but
older.
she's her best friend. Come on,
Yeah,
man.
best friend, yeah. And I don't think she even realized that either until Shadia Simmons' character Piper pointed that out to her. I don't think she understood and realized that, yo, that's not your friend. You're walking around here with these blinders on and you're not seeing what's going on. Even there was a scene in the car where she said that they're kept separate, or they have travel papers for their protection, and they don't mind. They enjoy it. They like it. And it's like, are you what? What? What do you mean?
She's
They
walking down the
enjoy it.
street being like, "Oh, what's his MO? Cleaning windows?" I was like, no.
Bro, it was bananas. But you have to realize that she lived a very sheltered life. Her father was a policeman. She didn't believe that police can do any wrong, and she was shocked to learn that Steve Biko was murdered by the police. And it took her a while to believe that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she thought her dad is a god and he can do no wrong. So
Oh, definitely, definitely, definitely. And it just kind of goes to show you how some people just can be kind of blind to the fact that racism exists, and that it's a lot of there's a difference in culture as well too, because when she got here and the mother was explaining that, yeah, oh yeah, our neighbors are professors, oh they're a doctor, oh yeah, he works for NASA or something, like whatever it was. But I don't think she was used to seeing black people doing anything other than server jobs before she came to America.
that is it's a huge disservice to her. And but as we learn in the movie, it turns back around and she like she experiences it firsthand, exactly what her handmaiden wanted her to.
Yeah.
And it
Who
explains
who
that.
do you think who do you think had the biggest influence on turning Mari's perception of black people around? Who do you think had the most influence on her?
Personally, I think Piper had to play the biggest role. Like,
Yeah,
she was in Piper's room that whole time, like going through her stuff. Like, she's just like she's sitting there trying to understand. She's a stranger in a new environment, right? So
yeah,
she's trying to understand her environment, trying to find out who this person is, doing a little bit of research, doing a little bit of digging. It's harmless, we find out, of course, because Piper busts in the room talking about you've been going through my stuff. But yeah, it's harmless. But the
yeah,
like what she found, it it contributed to changing her mind, and I think wanting to stay with them,
yeah.
like with the family altogether. So
I agree with that too. I feel like also the kind of spark that kind of helped her be interested in staying was when she realized that she upset Piper by saying that she didn't want to stay there. I guess because they were a black family, or her being uncomfortable kind of sparked that. For me, I feel like the mom had a lot to do with Mari's change in heart, because what I liked about the mother was she really educated her on the differences between how Black Americans are treated, even though they weren't treated, you know fairly then, and was still not treated fairly now, but she kind of realized, made her realize that black people have a lot more rights here, and who are white people to tell black people what they can and can't do, where they can and can't go, things like that. And I feel like the mother was a very intricate part in educating her, and letting them see that black people are just as valuable as white people. And I feel like she has such a nurturing way of doing it, but at the same time tough. Like when she made her eat them damn sugar rolls for breakfast, when she was like, "Oh, I'll
Yeah,
take,
that was
I'll take
one of those tough things. One of those tough choices you got to make. You gonna eat these sugar rolls, or you gonna you gonna get at?
this. He's gonna be hungry."
You gonna get at?
But
But
I tell you
no,
what, she ate them sugar rolls though. She ate them.
exactly. Yeah, I actually thoroughly enjoyed that scene. The kids left because they already knew it was up. Everybody left the table. They're like, "Well, we don't want to experience World War III. We had a little bit of that last week. So,
Yeah,
yeah, you're on your own there, Mari. Hope you're still around when
they
we get
left her high and
back.
dry.
Hope you're still
They left
around when
Molly
we
high
get
and dry
back."
for that.
But before we
Yeah,
did change the subject, I wanted to say, like, another thing that could have contributed to Mari changing her mind was her finding the letter that Piper wrote for her, and
mm,
that was Piper's, like, undiminished, like, representation or picture of her, like, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like, that was
okay,
Piper's, like, raw feeling and raw emotion that she wanted to convey to Mari, and that's what she received in that letter. So comparing that, and then also having Piper bring her food, just like
yeah.
some simple act like that,
Act of
she
kindness.
probably seems like to Mari that's regular, obviously, but coming
Yeah.
from Piper after she read that, she noticed that it took something for her to do that.
Yeah, I like that. I like that point of view too. And piggybacking off of that, I feel like the dad's kind of, because the dad was the most objective to her, like being there from the beginning. He didn't want her there any more than she wanted to be there. But I
Right.
feel like the softening of his heart and the anger in his heart that when he thought that Mari had called Piper the K word, the anger he felt, I feel like that kind of was a catalyst for her too, to kind of be like, oh God, I really hurt people with the way I think, the way I feel, the words that come out of my mouth. And the fact that even though he was so angry, he could cool down enough to the point where, he's educating her, giving her book titles, and, talking to her and things like that, and showing that, kind of not softening his heart, but kind of, having the ability to want to, teach her. I think that kind of helped her a lot too. So I feel like everybody had an integral part in, kind of bringing her back down to earth, and, excuse me.
Yeah, everybody did play a key role.
Yeah. And even getting to the end of the movie, when, the speech came and she got on the plane, I think it was such a beautiful moment for her to have that rebel flag sewn into the inside of her jacket. And, she left ready to, turn up. She's ready to come to America and turn all the way up. But, she came here, she learned, and, she went back, ready to educate and be a better person.
Yeah, because the first time she saw the flag, she did not have this. She did not have the same sentiments.
Yeah,
So that was really an awesome change.
definitely, definitely. Hold
And
on.
another thing, like the whole departure, like comparing the arrival at the airport and then
Yeah,
the departure at the airport, like, it's crazy.
a totally different Mari, and Piper too. I feel for them because this
Both
was back in, was this the 70s? I can't 76 or 70s, one of them. And
70s.
I was thinking, with my, 2021 brain, I was like, they can't just call each other. They can't. And I'm like, no, dummy. There's no social media. It didn't
Gotta be
dawn on me
real
that,
pen pals.
yeah, they have to be real pen pals. They have to wait, weeks, maybe a month or however long, to hear from each other again. And who's to say, Mari's dad is even going to let them, continue a friendship when she gets back to South Africa. So for me, I felt like the the departure for her to go back to South Africa was even more kind of emotional because I felt like she really, really developed this true friendship with Piper, and it was just sad to see that it had to not come to an end, but they had to kind of put a pause on their friendship while she went back to South Africa.
Yeah, and you can just see in the hesitancy of just leaving. She didn't want to leave. She was about to. She would have missed her
Now
flight.
that we've kind of like we've rewatched the movie, I need to know. I want to know, as an adult, looking back on this movie, how do you feel about the color of friendship now that you watched it as an adult?
So I feel that the color friendship does a lot of things that modern movies should probably include and adapt. Like I feel like it was more raw. Like
Yeah,
it was some emotional points in there, but it's real. It's life, and that's what it
yeah,
is. I know movies are just representations of what's going on, but this was more. It's more close. It's
yeah,
less fiction. Like
for
every
sure.
every writer has their option to go fiction or nonfiction, but this one was like right there in the middle, the sweet spot.
Yeah,
So, but the thing that's always gonna stick with me is gonna be that bird story.
yeah.
It's amazing because like the
It's
birds,
beautiful. It definitely did a good job in tying everything
yeah,
together, making it make sense, wrapping it up in a nice little bow at
yeah,
the end of the movie. So I definitely, feel you on that, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. I felt like something that this movie does that we don't really get a lot, especially in a kids movie, is that rawness and the ability to just come at you, face first. I feel like we underestimate children's ability to understand right from wrong. We underestimate their ability to learn and adapt, to see, to soak up the right things. And I feel like the more we kind of sugarcoat things and use metaphors, metaphors don't always teach kids because they don't. A lot of kids learn by direct interaction with things, and sometimes you have to present things as they are for what they are in order for children to understand that. So I feel like I really hope and pray that in the future going forward that Disney does do more things like this involving racism. We had a That's a Raven episode that was like head on talking about racism. Smart Guy had an episode head on talking about racism, and I don't think we do that well anymore. I feel like everything's not wrapped up in this like nice little social justice warrior bowl. And it's presented in such a way that it's like, oh, it's bad, but it could be worse. But I feel like The Color of Friendship does such an amazing job of portraying racism for what it is. It's ugly, it's hateful, and it needs to change through education. So those are our thoughts on The Color of Friendship, which is now streaming on Disney Plus platform. Please make sure you check it out. Have your kids watch it. Have a friend watch it. Have a discussion about it. Sit down and talk these things out because that's the only way we're going to get through this is together through open and honest dialogue. With that being said, don't forget to like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. Later days.
later days.